Hi everyone, it's Carolyn here to share more messages for your ascension and awakening journey. Today, I'm going to talk about some of the top things I've learned in my awakening journey. This topic occurred to me the other day when I was taking a walk, and I was actually kind of going down a list of things that, wow, how my life has changed, what have I learned? And then I thought, it's kind of interesting to talk about this. So, and really be able to take a look at your overall journey. And, we're learning things every single day. However, when do you really sit down and take a look at some of the big things that you've learned? And everybody's list is going to be different, I think. And yet at the same time, there's a lot of commonality as well. But we do have our own individual journeys. So I'm going to talk about some of the things that I've learned during the awakening journey that I never would have imagined having happened to me. So thank you for joining me today. I'm Carolyn. I'm a channel, I'm a distance energy healer, and I'm a spiritual awakening mentor. And I offer these channels from the Light Keepers as well as other channels that I do and conversation around them to help you forward on your own awakening and ascension journey. So thanks so much for joining me today. If you're new, like, share, and subscribe, please. I would really appreciate that, and you'll get more free content as well. If you look down below in the description box, you'll see where you can sign up for a video on how to create flow in your body for health and wellness. But what it leads you to is my email list, where weekly I send out a channeled message for the week coming up. And also my Facebook page. I never mentioned my Facebook page, Purple Rain Healing. If you like these short little poems, oh my gosh, you will love the ones on my Facebook page because they are from the Light Keepers, and I post twice or 3 times a week. So check out my Facebook page, Purple Rain Healing, and you'll see a couple years worth of amazing poems that I really don't publish anywhere else. So thank you everybody for joining me today. So I'm going to get started, and I'm just going to talk from my list, and hopefully it'll help you kind of start thinking about, wow, what are some of the big things I've really learned in this journey? And those of you who are just starting off on this journey, you know what? It's a really great thing to start journaling all of this so that you can really wrap your mind around what's going on in your journey. And then when you get years down the road, you can look back on this and say, oh my gosh, I have grown so much. So there's power in putting pen to paper and really putting our thoughts down and really being able to wrap our minds around this incredible journey that we're on. And everybody can do this. So try this exercise at home and see if you can come up with, 10 things that you really learned on this journey, because it's going to allow some deeper reflection. In fact, while I was doing this for the video today, I was like, oh my gosh, I forgot about this, I forgot about that. And it just kind of took me down a longer conversation with myself. So when you get kind of down on maybe like where you're going and how fast, like we always think, we're going in our journey, take a look at history, take a look at what you've learned, and you're going to be amazed, I think, at how far you've come, even though some days it doesn't feel like it. That's just the way the journey is, because we're still human. All right, I'm going to start with my first one. Okay, so these are in no particular order, but the first one that I have listed down is I learned that we get do-overs. We have more than just one life. And a lot of you are probably like, well, yeah, I knew that, but I didn't. So I grew up in a pretty liberal Protestant faith, and for all of you who have been there too, we get taught that we just have one life. I don't ever remember having any kind of conversation with friends, with family, particularly in my church, about having more than one life. I never thought about it, other than I did think about the fact that I had one life, and I would get whipped up over what I had and hadn't done and what I had done that might keep me from, I guess you could just say, going to heaven. I mean, I didn't get wrapped around that like a lot can. And like I said, I came from a liberal Protestant faith, so we didn't really talk about all of that in detail as much as many religions can. But I will tell you that I always thought I had one life. Never in a million years would I have suspected that we have been here for eons, that our soul has incarnated multiple times, that we have taken on all forms, and I'm talking not just human forms. We have taken on forms of star beings out on other planets. We have taken forms outside of the human realm on this earth. We have experienced so much. We have also assisted in helping Earth be created as we were those star beings. Many of us know that. So the fact that so many of us have been taught that we just have one life, I will say one thing never really resonated with me, even though I believed it, which sounds funny, but I remember it popping up on occasion where I would think, well, then why do some people have such really horrific journeys, very difficult situations they're dealing with throughout their lives? I mean, you can think of all kinds of examples of that. Or those who just have what you might consider a glorious way of living, skirting through with nothing to deal with. I mean, we all know that, right? There are all those different kinds of lives and in between. Why would just one life you have that opportunity and you didn't get to choose any of that? No, 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 no. Oh no, now it makes so much sense because we choose our incarnations, we come in, we learn lessons, we continue to experience and create, and we keep doing it over and over again until we don't, whenever that is, right? So who would have thought that along this awakening journey for me, I would have then come into my modalities and the work that I do, and that finding people's past lives is one of the major things that I do. And of course, I also know some of my own. Point is it is in my face that we have more than one life, and it is the most glorious thing to know that. Who wants to have just one life and only have that as an opportunity? That just makes no sense. But the point is, we get do-overs. I have learned that in the awakening journey. So the next thing that I've learned is what we see in this life, experience in this life, the emotions we have, the feelings we have, the people we run into, the lessons that come our way. It's not just about this incarnation and what we might have planned for it. We bring in so much from these past lives that I just talked about. We bring in cellular memory. We bring in things that we are doing over again, maybe at the same time with the same group of people in a different scenario. We do the play over again, but we change roles because we're here to learn something that potentially we didn't learn then, or we're trying to clear something out from the past that we weren't able to clear out or understand. So what we see on the surface with everyone and how they play it out day to day, it's not just about things that have happened to them in this incarnation or to us in this incarnation. We continually encounter past life experience in this current incarnation. Now, it's very veiled. You aren't going to necessarily know that unless you're tapped in that way. So when we are having things happen to us lots of times, particularly now in the ascension time, such as illnesses, physical things that come and go, odd situations that we have, either emotional or physical, or people that we run into, oh my gosh, that are powerful parts of our life, we are likely working through something from a past life. And we're doing it in this incarnation because the time of ascension is where we're doing a lot of this. We're clearing a lot of this, re-experiencing a lot of this, trying to get these things right with these people that we probably didn't get it right with back then, or we have some kind of karma. And I know lots of times a lot of you say I'm not using karma right. I'm just going to use it the way I know how to use it, which is, it's a debt of some kind. Like we have a debt to somebody else, right? And we now have to pay that back. That's happening from a past life in this life. So our current incarnation is so incredibly layered. It's not that simple. So I've learned that during this. Never in a million years would I have thought that, because of course I didn't also believe in past lives. So it's not just what is in this life that is showing up. Okay, this one hit me very early on in my awakening journey, and I never expected this in a million years. Curses, spells, vows, etc. are real. They're real. They are real, can be done to you, and you can do them to yourself, which I will give you an example. I did one to myself, that when I had my very first reading when I started waking up, and it was I guess it was an Akashic Records reading from a friend that I had just met, and every single thing, and it was crazy, that she talked about that I had a curse. And I remember when she said this, the human me was like, a curse. And then she talked about a vow. I didn't have a spell. I had a vow and I had a curse. I said, whoa, okay. But then I immediately said, I know what the vow is. I know what the curse is. Because she gave me a bit of an inkling on the curse. I knew immediately who it was, what it was, why it was. Because I also had started to tap into my past lives. So check this out. So the curse in and of itself had followed through from a past life. So when we think about our lives, it's not just, oh, we have this life and then we move on to the next one. It is a progression. It's a culmination. It's a conglomeration, I guess I'll say, of everything. You're everything in one. So this curse that was put on me, and I won't go through all the detail, but the point of this is the curse that was put on me back in a past life, which was in the late 1800s, early 1900s, followed me into this life. I then replayed this scenario over in my early years with the same person, and I behaved in the same manner. The curse was put on me, and yet at the same time, I'm not sure it played out because I wasn't able to connect into that, but I know who the person was that put the spell on and or the curse on, and probably a little rightly so, even though that's not something you want to mess with, because when we use words to actually express things in our emotion and we say, I curse you, or I curse, and then these are real and true. These are real and true. And spells can be put on people. And here's the other thing is lots of times it can be a conscious thing that someone is doing, but also it can be very unconscious. And I guess my example, the one I will share with you today, is the vow that I made. I had no idea, but when she said, you have a vow, and I said, what do you mean? So she explained what a vow is, and I said, oh my God, I know exactly what that is. Now, this is going to sound super simple, and then it's not even that important. So I will never forget, I think I was 17, and I had a boyfriend who he was my first boyfriend at age 15 through 20. It was a beautiful relationship. But as I was moving into my senior year, was getting all excited about my senior year and just wanting to explore and meet all these people and have fun and do my own thing. So I kept breaking up with him, this lovely person who had landed in my life, and I kept breaking up with him. And then I would want him back. I know. Oh my God, I know. Anyway, so I'll never forget one time, and these are the important times where where things that don't seem that important, you remember every single detail. And I remember every single detail about this. I was sitting in my family's living room in a particular chair. I remember exactly what it looked like. It was green suede, kind of brownish, sitting there so distraught because I had broken up with him again, but guess what? He had started to date someone else. Well, yeah. I think this is like the third time I'd done this to him, or it was more than the first time. And so I remember sitting in that chair, and I sat and I prayed. I remember I had my hands like this, and I said, God, if you bring him back to me, I promise, I said that word, I promise I will never break up with him again. This was direct to God, source, the universe, whatever you want to call it, right? Our higher power. I promise I will never break up with him again. Now, there was a longer story here where it was very much felt we would be together and we would seal that with a marriage down the road. That's kind of just what I had thought. But I kept doing this thing back and forth, right? So what do? I promise that I'm never going to break up with him again. I promise. Please give him back to me. I made a deal. Give him back to me. I promise I won't do this. I promise I'll do this for you. Oh my God. I broke up with him like 3 times after that. This continued through college. And then finally it ended. But the point in this is I never forgot that. And then it came flying back at me when I go through this Akashic Records reading. And I said, oh my God, I know the vow. She goes, that's it. That's it. So I guess the point of this was one of the biggest learnings I had. I'm like, oh my God, these things that we were taught about that we just think are Halloween and witchy and fun to do or whatever. And that, that's how I grew up. Just, that's all just part of, I don't know, black magic that's not real or has to do with Halloween. That's really what I understood. No, they're real. Vows, curses, and spells are real. So anyway, that was one of the big learnings I had. So we have to really be careful about the things that the emotion we put behind something and the promises that we make and the vows we make, the very legit kinds of agreements we make because they are powerfully real. All right. The next one, This blew me away when I finally realized, wow, the people that I have in my family or in my close friend group, they might not be the people closest to me or the souls closest to me. I learned we have soul families and soul groups. Now, mind you, I didn't go out and read this stuff. This is stuff that happened to me. And then I started innately knowing, as you awaken, that these things are real. Like, you just start getting information, right? So these are all experiences that I had. It's not I went out and read, and not that that's a bad thing, but and went out and read and went, oh, okay, this is a thing, and now I got to go find it. These things happen organically, as you well know, in the awakening. And so what happened with me is suddenly, and I'm not kidding you, I'm no youngster either. And when I started this journey, it was only 4 years ago. And like I said, I'd gone through decades of just living the typical American life, never thinking about any of this stuff. And yet, I have come across soul family that are across the entire world now. Some who I am deeply connected to now, who I spend time with on the phone, and I am not a phone person at all. Oh, I am with them, and I am connected into them as soul family. I know who these people are. They don't live near me. We have a soul connection, but they're off doing their own thing. We're off doing our thing, but we come back together. That's an important thing to know. People are going to come your way where you're going to be like, oh, I know you. And I know you from the past. You make this quick connection with these people. They start showing up in your awakening and ascension journey. So you'll connect with people who you're super close to. And as you're going through this awakening journey, that's when this happens more than ever. But you'll be able to look back in your journey and see when this has happened also, and then realize, that person was important to me. Oh my gosh, that's why I had that connection. So the soul family is a closer knit group of people, and they can be spread out through wherever. And yes, they can be your family, your biological family, parts of them, but they could possibly not be at all. So just know that if you feel completely disconnected from your biological family and you feel like, how did I end up here? It's very possible that you came in to work with them during this journey for other reasons. You agreed to come and assist them, and they assist you in learning all kinds of things. But that they might not be your soul family, and that's okay, because you're going to, because it's not what we think it is in human form. It's about assisting others and learning from others, and we do that oftentimes with all different kinds of souls. But we oftentimes will then reconnect with our soul family. And then the soul group is your larger group outside of your soul family. So I always thought this was kind of neat because it makes me feel so comfortable in that we're not alone in this journey. We have souls that are close to us that show up in our journey. And then we have soul groups too that are our larger group. And I always liken this to, like, I feel still to this day, like my high school class, graduating class, that group of people, we had 500 people in our class, and oh my God, we had the most amazing class. I still feel very soul connected to the vast majority of those people. Just beautiful souls, but I know I've been with them before. I just feel that. Soul groups also can be like your neighborhood or your community or farther reaching than that. But the point is, this is a larger group of people, maybe a little more extended for you, but they played an important part in your journey. So that was a huge thing that I learned, is that, oh my gosh, soul families, it's such a beautiful thing. Soul groups, but soul families that, we haven't been connected with possibly in this lifetime for years, and then suddenly they pop back into your life and are super powerful. And that's lots of times why all of a sudden relationships will occur with people that you would never expected, and they come out very magically. And all of a sudden you're like, okay, this is my person. All right, so the next one is, and I firmly believe this, I know this from experience, our intuitive gifts, that we have this sixth sense that you can lump in a whole bunch of things with. It's available to everyone, every single person. I used to think, and I never spent a lot of time with this, but before my awakening, I remember hearing about tarot cards or somebody who was psychic, and they'd just kind of flip by me, and I'd think, oh, well, that's a whole special group of people. That's not me. Even though I always thought it was kind of interesting, I never dabbled in it because I just thought that's a different group of people. And that's about as far as I went with it. No, not true. It's available to all of us, and when we go through awakening, that's when we're really cracked wide open, either right away, like I was, like instantaneously, my gifts opened up. And I've talked about this in other videos before, but I've only been on the formal dark night of the soul conscious journey of the awakening for 4 years. Before that, I had been doing the unconscious stuff that I talked about in one of the videos. But the point in that is the minute I went through that, blasted open from the dark night of the soul, all my intuitive gifts opened up, and I realized how extensive and expansive they are. And as you start realizing this and tapping into those and putting energy toward them to actually practice and learn and spend time with it, they'll continue to grow. They will continue to grow. You don't want to force it. You don't want to, angst over the fact it's not happening yet. You're continuing to grow. And if you have an interest, a passion, a desire to open up a certain part of you, then go take a class, learn something, start reading about it. But most importantly, as I always say, start meditating. Okay, I won't say it again, but start meditating. Foundation of everything moving forward. So the point is we all have intuitive gifts. Oh my gosh, we all can be psychic or are psychic. We all have that magic in us that is here from our deep soul self that now is coming to the surface. And now with the veil thinning, particularly in 2020, since COVID, since the solstice, guess what? Thin, thin, thin veil. Thinner, thinner, thinner. More is happening faster. Your gifts are going to open up faster, particularly for those of you who are starting to just awaken. A lot of you are moving through warp speed awakening. So anyway, my point is I was stunned to find out that this could happen to me. Because like I said, I have gone through decades of a life with none of this before. So that should be helpful to all of you who think, I don't have an intuitive gift. I don't have anything happening. Yeah, you do. Yeah, you do. Just don't worry about it and just keep learning and keep exploring. Okay, and this is a big one now. And I think this is number 5, but I have firmly come to understand that we choose our vibration. The more we continue to focus on the growth of ourselves, the self-care, the things that assist us in growing in vibration. And again, I'm not going to go through all those in detail because those are in other videos and that's not the point of this video. But the point is we choose our vibration. We choose what we focus on day to day. We choose how we feel. We choose how we start a day, how we end our day, what we do in our day. And yes, sometimes as humans, we have to do things that kind of, like some of us go to work and we don't always enjoy everything. Well, I have my own business. There are parts of my own business I don't enjoy. Like, I don't enjoy administrative stuff, right? I don't like doing my taxes. I still have to do them. So the point of this is we choose our vibration by what we pick to do each day. And to the things that aren't that enjoyable, we can bring a higher vibration. We can bring the rest of us to the party and get through that day of the things that we don't particularly enjoy. And that shifts and changes too. As we choose the things we want to be doing and set aside the things that don't serve us any longer, our vibration rises. We have all kinds of ways our vibration rises. All this assistance from the universe. But what is part of the biggest advancement forward for us is how we choose to come to the party. What are we going to do to assist us in growing our own vibration? What do you choose to eat each day? Do you choose to exercise the vessel you're in that carries you through this journey? Do you get out in nature? Do you enjoy natural things? Do you enjoy the trees and the grass and try to connect in with the earth? What are your habits? What are the things you're doing maybe to yourself that don't serve you any longer? How are you handling your emotions? It goes on and on. You know about all this. Vibration matters. It matters more than we know and what we bring to that party. And we do have control over it. Even if we're living in a potentially stifling environment, we can be the light within ourselves and shift and change. And it's amazing what happens when you shift and change and people around you start shifting and changing. But even in the most difficult environments, we still have sovereignty and the ability to create from within that higher vibration. And then we're assisted from all of the other things that are happening to help raise our vibration. So know that vibration matters. And I firmly believe we choose it as we move forward in our journey and we work toward that higher vibration that is honestly being offered to us as well. And as we do this, we are moving in and out of timelines. We're not just on the straight linear path of our timeline. We're in this larger collective timeline I've talked about. Remember how I talk about the rope, the big, like it looks like like a rope attached to a massive ship. It's all twined and intertwined. We have all these timelines winding in, but we're constantly doing this. We're moving in and out. And I'm going to tell you right now, when you're, in one of those, I guess I had one the other day where I was just kind of beating myself up on a bunch of different dumb things. And as I was doing that, I could feel my vibration lowering. And then I had some odd experiences come into the course of my next day or so. And I thought, oh my gosh, Carolyn, I attracted that because of where I was. Now, this is practice process. This is the way life is, right? You bring in, you go through a certain mood or a certain experience, and then you kind of hang there, and you bring in other experiences that link to that vibration. But then as we continue to move out of that, we start moving into the higher vibration. So it's always like this. And as we're moving in our timeline, we're coming in and out. But what we're doing over time is we're continuing to raise in vibration. But we go back into a lower vibration time and we move up to high. Microns difference, okay? But you're going to be able to tell this like I have lately, where I can actually see where I'm like, okay, Carolyn, you are manifesting these things in your life because of the vibration you're at and the thought patterns I have and, some of the practices I have going on, right? But the point in this is know that you contribute to your own vibration. And there's so much you can do to continue to raise it. I never knew that. I just always kind of thought, well, life is kind of done to us. I'm going to pick and choose the things I want to do. I mean, I never sat down and intellectually thought about this ever. I just plodded through my life and kept doing the things I thought I was supposed to do. And, the career thing. And, I had no idea that we were really this actively involved in our own journey forward. I often just felt that things were just done to us. Just done to us. No, not really. There's some of that you might argue but it's for purpose. I never understood any of that. So to know that we actually participate more than I could ever imagine was very eye-opening. So this one is interesting, because I have a lot of people ask me, what's my purpose? And what I have learned in this, and I've wondered this too, before my awakening, for years, and I always say a prayer every morning. I would say a prayer, and it was really odd, because at the end I would say, please show me. I know I'm supposed to help save the world. What? Just me, little Midwestern Carolyn. I'm supposed to help save the world. I had no idea where that was coming from, but I had said it for years at the end of my prayer. Please help me to understand how I'm supposed to save the world. So I did a lot of financial donating for a number of years to causes that I very much supported. And that was a huge part of it, but it kind of left me a little bit empty, even though I was grateful to be able to do that, because it wasn't an action, it was financial, and I didn't feel like it wasn't solving my problem. So I was this close to going to the Peace Corps, and I really felt I would be doing that. And then I went through my dark night of the soul. And I was like ready to fill the application out. So obviously I wasn't supposed to do that. But the point in that is I was always searching for something more than what I was doing, which was traveling through my life journey, working and, building a career. And not that that's a bad thing, but that wasn't supposed to be what I was to do forever and a day. And some of us, yes, we are, because we're making the impact in our workplaces. But my point in this is I wanted to know my purpose. I wanted to understand my purpose. And what I realized in this awakening journey, our purpose, our number one purpose individually, is not to affect the outside world, outside of ourselves, in some remarkable way. We all think it has to be some huge, big thing. Guess what? It's about us coming to the higher of ourselves, for us to get to know who we truly are, for us to be able to work from that beautiful place of the soul, the higher of us, and be able to do this and bringing in that beautiful energy from above and growing in our strength of who we are and seeing the power behind that and being able to use it in our day-to-day. Because when we create ourselves to be the best that we can be from that soul perspective, working from the higher place of love from us and learning how to do that, then we affect everyone around us. We affect our own light around us, and then that shines for everyone we encounter. So knowing that we all want to have a purpose, but what I've learned is the most important thing you can do is to focus on the growth of yourself in this awakening journey. Because when you focus on yourself and the growth within yourself, becoming the higher self, acting from the higher self in this human vessel, there's so much power there. And from that, you can affect so many lives. And it just starts naturally happening. Just imagine if everybody did that, had the opportunity to work from their inner self, to grow within the human that we are here incarnate, to be able to be the higher self on earth, honestly, we wouldn't have any problems because would all have grown in our knowing of who we truly, truly are. And that has been sheltered for years for all the reasons we've talked about before: religion, control, power, all of that. And now we're starting to learn this. But the number one thing is I learned, yes, we all have a purpose, but it's about growing within ourself to be the higher self incarnate to make that difference. So here's another one. I learned the awakening is real. It really is. I know, and I've gone through it too, where there is a theory of thought that, well, this is just manufactured to control us further. It's not real. We're just going through having somebody put the blinders on us and we're being controlled. And this is all fake and it's not real and we're just in the matrix. No. You know, it's okay if you believe that, that's fine. But I'm here to tell you the awakening is real and true. My journey has been from day one, honestly, one of the most magical things I could ever imagine in my life. The signs and messages that have come to me, the threads that I have followed, the incredible, magical things that have appeared out of nowhere, people that have appeared out of nowhere, things that have showed up in my way, me continuing to follow the thread of the thing, follow the yellow brick road. I have 170 pages from just my first year and a half since my dark night of the soul in February of 2016, where I journaled every single thing that happened to me. And I'm not kidding you. To have 170 pages of signs and messages that have led me to where I am today, and I will continue to grow through in this journey. And I am where I am today. I would never imagine this in a million years. It is honestly one of the most beautiful and also honestly one of the most difficult journeys I've ever been on, which without me going through my entire awakening journey that has been conscious to me is to just tell you that one of the biggest things I've learned is this is real and true. It's not false. Yes, they're trying. Yes, there are powers that wish to tamp down the light workers, to squash the light workers, all of that. But remember, that can't be stopped. It is real and true. We are here to bring forward a new day in humankind, what was meant to be always and forever. And lastly, I'm going to leave you with this. I think this is either 8 or 9. I don't know. The numbers don't matter. And this is probably good for those of you who are starting the awakening, is the awakening cannot be explained to someone who's not going through it. Because you'll be looked at like you have 10 heads when you start talking. I think we've all been through this. Those of us who have been doing this a little bit longer or on this journey a little bit longer, I think we've all had a point in time where we just blubbered to our family or friends, and they're looking at us because they can't connect. They're still in that space of, you know, where we were, right? Before this all happened. And they don't have a frame of reference for the things that have happened to us. Yes, we can pick and choose the things we share, but when we just open the floodgates, which I did, and it all comes flowing out, I even didn't kind of make sense to myself when I was trying to explain this. And I did this multiple times. And then finally I realized, oh, okay, this isn't a thing for everybody right now. Oh, you know, because you go through that, you're like, oh, maybe I'm the only one that hasn't been going through this and everybody else knows about this. I mean, that's kind of where I was, right? No, that's not the case. So anyway, needless to say, it's not to say not to talk about it, but what I have found is we impact others by just being, by growing in our own light, like I said earlier, and by just being quiet and peaceful and not talking and blubbering about all this because they're not going to understand it. Now, I will say people who are starting to awaken, that's different. But I'm talking about just, you know, folks who either aren't on this current incarnation journey to wake up, which, you know, there are many in their current incarnation that it's not the intention to consciously wake up. They're not going to understand. So to be there in your strength and your beauty, and they see the change in you as you move forward, that's the difference, okay? Sitting and expounding to them all of your philosophy. Oh my gosh. I don't know about you guys, super backfired on me. But anyway, and I know a lot of you I've talked to have had some of the same experiences. But the point in this is just know it is an experience each person must have on their own. Sharing little pieces of things can make sense, but you just being in your light, because people that aren't awakening aren't going to understand what you're going through. And I know many of you have to deal with this with family members and friends. It gets lonely. You don't have anybody to talk to. Now more and more people are waking up. And remember this too, as you are an individual waking up in your own family or friend set and you are the only one, the mere fact you're around these people, your light starts helping them wake up too. Whether they will wake up fully, I don't know. That's in their planned incarnation. But I can tell you right now, I have met dozens of people, many of you who are probably listening to this video right now, where you, in going through your awakening, have started to see a shift and change in your family members and friends. And it's not by expounding out verbally to them. And yet at the same time, we all want to do that, right? But there's so much. This is so layered. This journey is super intricate. You can never summarize it in a way that somebody that isn't formally going through the process can ever understand. So needless to say, those are some of the things today that I wanted to share about my own journey. I could have gone on with dozens of other things, but these just popped in and I thought they'd be kind of fun to talk about. So feel free to share, feel free to comment. I love to read your comments. I try to get to all of them. I always try to respond to. Sometimes it doesn't work out. So just know that I always do read them. So thank you so much for joining me today. I will leave you with my website again, purplerainhealing.com. If you want to work with me, I do all kinds of channeling. I also do distance energy healing with channeling. I do 3 different kinds of channeling sessions, including the one with Celeste, where we give you a whole soul journey session, a recorded audio session, 50 minutes approximately, that will give you more information to take along in your journey. Those sessions are absolutely incredible, as well as my spiritual awakening mentoring, where I help you on your awakening journey. I assist you forward in multiple sessions, how many ever you choose to have with me, but we keep working on the things you want to work on. So check out purplerainhealing.com for more information, and I will see you in the next video.